So there's no doubt there's scientific evidence that eating breakfast, any breakfast, has a positive effect on mental performance in both children and adults. But why choose a seemingly unhealthy sugary cereal over a boiled egg or a piece of toast? Professor Regan is going to put this critical question to the biggest selling cereals manufacturer in the world. Behind the walls of this massive factory, workers guard 100-year-old secret cereal recipes.
Every day we produce around about 500,000 packets which will go out of this particular factory. We do have all the secret formulas, in particular Tony, the Tiger's secret formula, and we stick very rigidly to those formulas, so it's very important as part of the image of the product and making sure that it keeps the nutritional information that's on the packaging.
Are these cereals really the best choice for mental performance? Have they replaced the free plastic toy with another magic ingredient? Professor Regan is meeting one of Kellogg's top nutritionists.
Hello.
Hello, Lesley, Alison. Really pleased to meet you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Pleasure. Come this way.
Let's pretend that we're in utopia now and everybody has agreed to eat breakfast.
Yeah.
So would you take it one step further and suggest that there are particular types of breakfast which are going to be of greater benefit?
I think the evidence hasn't shown where different types of foods have gone head-to-head in a really robust clinical trial.
So I can still have a Marmite toast?
Yes. The important thing is to have breakfast. Don't skip breakfast.
Even Kellogg's agree any breakfast can improve mental performance. So why choose a sugary cereal?
So Alison, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about was we're all very worried about the quantities of sugar and salt that we ingest in our diet.
So let's start by looking at the facts and looking at the science. There's absolutely no evidence whatsoever linking sugar with obesity. If we look at sugar, we actually provide surprisingly little amount in the diet of our nation. We provide 3.5% of the sugar in our diet, so it's surprisingly quite low. Frosties, let's look at Frosties. Frosties has 2 teaspoons of sugar per bowl. Now that's less than a glass of orange juice. It's less than a fruit yoghurt, it's less than a banana, it's less than 2 slices of toast with jam. So it just puts it into perspective, really. It's not quite as much as you may think.
But let's look at it the other way round. Why put in the 2 spoons of sugar at all? Can we not get children to eat them at breakfast if they don't have all that added sugar?
Our biggest sellers, or family favourites, for children are these 2, cornflakes and Rice Krispies. And they have less sugar than Frosties. Actually, the majority of consumption of Frosties is with young men. Young men.
Young men?
Young men.
And why is that?
It's a great cereal for after sports or before you go to the gym.
Just to clarify for me, are we saying then that we're going to offset the empty calories in sugar because of all the other things that they're eating, or are we saying that the sugar is genuinely not harmful?
The sugar is genuinely not harmful.
Professor Regan is not going to be swayed by Tony the Tiger's official spokeswoman. She's called in an independent expert about the extraordinary claim that sugar is not causing obesity. Dr. Alison Lennox is head of population nutrition research at Cambridge University. She spent nearly 35 years picking over what we put on our plates. So if anyone knows about sugar, it's her.
Surprisingly, we're probably not eating more sugar than we used to. All the evidence that we have from the surveys, either nationally or in specific groups, suggests that we're eating the same amount of sugar in total as we did 20 years ago. People worry a lot about sugar, and I think there's other things they should worry more about, like fat in the diet, for example. Most of the evidence would suggest that there isn't a relationship with obesity of sugar itself. So is it okay to eat cereals with added sugar? We know that these cereals contain lots of nutrients that we want children to get. We know that we want them to start a behavior that they will carry on throughout their lives, eating breakfast. If this is the way to get them to start having breakfast, then I think it's better to do that than not do that and not have breakfast at all.
So even a sugary cereal can be okay for kids, but aim for the whole breakfast to contain no more than about 17 grams of sugar. So can Professor Regan really be considering letting a sugar-coated puff, flake or loop into her scientific nursery?
So breakfast is definitely good for you. And cereal with milk contains calcium, iron, vitamin D and all sorts of other nutrients that are really good for your child. But what the experts have convinced me of is it's not the type of cereal that matters nearly as much as encouraging your child to eat breakfast every day for the rest of their lives.
Kiddie cereals, like any breakfast, can improve mental performance. So they do make it into Professor Regan's nursery.